1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dawes. Hey!
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Well, if you love Jaguars football, this is a good week for you. Yesterday, we got to hear from new Jaguars general manager James Gladstone, and he's definitely sounded sharp and intelligent like we talked about yesterday. And then today we got to hear from him again, in addition to Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen, both at the podium up there in Indianapolis. And we will have both of them on with Frank Frangie here shortly. Liam Cohen will join Frank at 12:30 after he meets with local media. And right before that, so the first one coming up, will be James Gladstone at 12:15. So going to have them right off the rip on our show. I certainly appreciate Frank Hayes and Mia and all the work that they're doing up in Indianapolis. Having gone to the Combine, Taylor, several times, the Indianapolis Convention Center is I'm pretty sure it's like the largest building in America.
Yeah.
It is. Obviously, it's packed and it connects to Lucas Oil, which is cool because that's where all of the NFL contingent can be in one building pretty much the whole time and then travel to the stadium when the on-field workouts are going on. But after hearing from both Liam and James again today, I don't know how you can't be excited for the future of Jaguars football and the direction that they've taken as far as especially the offensive innovation that I think we're going to see. We've joked like the offense was offensive.
Yeah.
And I think now we're going to be seeing an offense that's much more high-powered.
Yeah, and there were multiple times last year where we'd come in on a Monday and I would say, why does it feel like we're watching a team that shouldn't be in the NFL when you comparably to when you would turn on a Ravens game or when you would turn on a Chiefs game, and this was even a bad
Bucs game,
season, a Bucs game.
Yeah.
There's a long list of teams that I would turn on and be like, these offenses just don't look the same. Like, it looks like something is missing in Jacksonville, and there's a few things missing, but I do think that these are the people when we're talking about these high-powered offensive minds who love ball, and that's the thing is that you love hearing that because it's easy to say, yes, like this person loves football, but it feels different with these guys. Like these guys obsess over football, and I can't remember which one, but I think it was Liam Cohen talking about Udinski and how that's how he is. He's obsessed with he loves football. When you love football, you want to put all of your time and energy and everything you have into it. And we've had that conversation about Trevor Lawrence a lot. Like, what level of love football is Trevor at? And I think that these are the perfect people to kind of mesh all of that together and bring it out of Trevor, because I do think that the last few years it's been messy. And even when you had the end of 2022, outside of that, Urban Meyer was a disaster, and then the first half of 2022 kind of sucked, and then you have collapses the year after, and so that's a lot on someone's like mental, especially when Trevor Lawrence won all the time in high school and in college, and you get here and it's just all messy and clunky. So I think these are the perfect people that can draw that love back out. And not saying Trevor didn't love it anymore, but I think they're the perfect people to bring that full level of love for the game back out.
Yeah, you've got 29-year-old offensive coordinator Grant Udinski, who's 5 years older than Trevor, and has certainly been skyrocketing to the place where he is now as far as in NFL circles. And then, yes, you've got Liam Cohen, who is someone who's been around several different places, whether it's the Rams, whether it's Kentucky, certainly working with Will Levis, and then, of course, with the Buccaneers as well. And then you've got the different minds with Tony Baselli, with Tony Khan on the analytics side, and then James Gladstone and where he's been as far as the Rams are concerned. You've got a really good melding of people in different backgrounds and what they have seen that's worked. And I think we talked about it a lot with the free agency class that the Jaguars brought. Well, they're coming from successful organizations. So therefore, when this team faces adversity, they'll be able to guide them through that and they'll be able to, actually be successful this season. And that didn't happen. Yeah. I think this is completely different, though. These people have come from organizations and franchises where they've done things right. They have collaborated in order to get the best players. And that's certainly something that's been lacking here. It's not just been the play calling offensively and defensively. It's also been the talent evaluation. And so I do think that this combine in free agency, it's going to be a lot different than what it's been in recent years.
Well, yeah, we said it yesterday where Trent Baalke's not here, so automatically it feels like there's some freshness into it, because I think that's what was, for a lot of people and a lot of fans the last few years, it felt like what was holding them back. And I do think, to your point, of different people meshing together now, and all with different experiences and organizations that were in different places during those periods of time also. And when you talk about the Rams, and he got there right when that trade with the Goff and Matthew Stafford happened, and I remember it on each side was, everyone was like, who is this going to win for? It obviously looked like it worked for both, but at the time people were like, oh man, we're like trading this young quarterback who we just drafted not long ago for an older quarterback who's kind of struggled in Detroit at times, but then was it Detroit's surroundings that were holding him back? And clearly that was the case, because Matthew Stafford goes and they win a Super Bowl in LA. And then you talked about the Vikings with Udinski and what he's been through when it comes to Kirk Cousins, when Kirk gets hurt and Joshua Dobbs has to come out there. And then you get Sam Darnold, who everyone had already written off from everything, and he gets revitalized. And then down in Tampa, it's that. You saw the revitalization of Baker. And granted, Baker was already taking that step the year before, but they brought every good piece of Baker that you had seen in the past, and maybe that had felt like it got lost, resurfaced. And so each of these guys has experience with different types of offenses and where they were at the time when they were taking over and building around them and figuring all of those things out. So that's nice too, because you do have a bunch of minds coming in here together and being like, here, this is what we did, this is what works, this is what didn't work. And I felt like it was just getting stale here, and that was a large part of the problem.
One of the pieces of news that came out of yesterday, Mark Lamping said that they're about 30 to 45 days away from putting together a proposal for the NFL as far as where the Jaguars will be playing in that 2027 season, Gainesville, Orlando. And so sometime around May, when the owners' meetings occur, we should have that answer. That's exciting. Yeah. He also, Mark Lamping said, the president of the Jaguars, said that the construction began about 45 days ago. So you're going to see a lot of different things, as far as under construction downtown. But I've been wanting to know, obviously, that information for so long. And so now at least having a timeline is, to me, exciting, that we're that much closer to, obviously, the stadium of the future, the renovated stadium, but also knowing where this team will be. Yeah. And if this team, let's say, wins the AFC South this year, which I don't think that's an impossible thing to do with the regression that we saw of the Texans, we want to know, are we going to Gainesville? Are we going to Orlando? Is it some sort of a mixture? I would assume it's one or the other, but I'm ready for that information.
Yeah, and I think it also just makes it feel official at that point too. And we already know it's official, but once you know the place and you have this plan set to where, okay, this is where you can expect to be the year that you're not here, in your mind, you're like, okay, this is finally happening. It's something that's been talked about for so long here, of just needing that, the new stadium in general, but everything surrounding it too, that they want to bring to downtown. And I think that it gives you that final, like, okay, we see the light at the horizon now for the first time in what feels like a long time.
Absolutely. All right. We will take an early break, so that way the people up in Indianapolis can take center stage. That would be first James Gladstone, Jaguars general manager, along with Frank Frangie, and then Liam Cohen. Coming up right after that, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on an epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Your home for Gators Hoops is 1010XL.
Number 2 Florida pushes toward the big prize on the road in Athens against Georgia. Gators Bulldogs tonight at 7 on 1010 AM.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Before displaying one of the greatest aerial acts in NBA dunk contest history, D. Brown was pumping his kicks at the Bowl School right here in Jacksonville. From there, Brown would go on to play for Jacksonville University, where his skills would land him as the number 19 pick in the 1990 NBA draft. Brown played for 12 years in the league for 3 different ball clubs, and now is a part of the front office of the Clippers G League affiliate. I'm RJ Saunders, and this Black History Month profile is brought to you by Instant Keys. Fast, professional locksmith service.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
1010XL celebrates African Americans who positively impacted the First Coast. I'm RJ Saunders, and I'll share Black History Month stories with you throughout February. Black History Month on 1010XL is brought to you by Instant Keys and McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center.
Staying Alive, one night of the Bee Gees, comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist, performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, one night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
Attention men and women, if you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. HairForMe.com.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday. Frank Frangie up in Indianapolis alongside Hayes Carline and Mia O'Brien. Frank is awaiting Jaguars general manager James Gladstone, who will then be followed by Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen, making their rounds up in Indy. And so as soon as they are ready, we will toss it up to Indianapolis at the 2025 NFL Combine. Very excited to hear from these guys, and looks like they are ready. So, Frank, all yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Lauren. We appreciate it very much. We are live here at Indianapolis on 1010XL. Frank Frangie with you. And what a pleasure to welcome in James Gladstone on 1010 for the first time, the brand new general manager. James, how are you, man?
Life is good. It's hard to complain. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Hey, we were flying yesterday during the presser, but I watched it. I was really taken by your emotion and the passion of it. Have you had a chance now to, man, it's been a whirlwind. You interview, then you got the job. Now you got to deal with knuckleheads like us. Have you had a chance to sit back and go, man, I'm an NFL GM? Has that happened yet for you?
First and foremost, when you mentioned yesterday, I almost started getting emotional again just because I like to root myself in the moment.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when you take me back there, it surfaces all those same emotions. But not that that's a bad thing. But no, I don't know that I've taken a real step back to, view it through that lens just yet. I'm just excited about, getting to work, getting to know our scouting staff, our coaching staff, and really see their vision for the future, and then work through the dynamics to bring it all to life.
You said something really interesting yesterday, James, that when Les Snead told you, I know how close you are to he and his wife, this might be the one, is when you got interested. Why now? Why is the Jaguar job the right one, and why now?
That's a great question. I think there's a lot of variables to that. I think, Les's understanding of the shifting dynamics amongst the leadership group there and knowing that mirrored the same thing that exists in Los Angeles, I think along with knowing Liam Cohen on a personal level and that he and I complement each other well, also played its part. And so I think those two things were probably what weighed most. And I think, it's not something that Les and I ever discussed previously. It was an organic, hey, I think this is probably the first one that has shown itself where, it could be successful, and would never raise my hand to say that you should attack it unless I thought it was.
James, alignment and collaboration are big buzzwords these days because you have to have that. I sense, and I know it's new, you all just got together, but watching Tony Baselli, a dear friend of mine and ours, and you and Liam kind of work together, boy, it feels that way, doesn't it? I know it's early. Talk about how important that aspect is, because it's critical, isn't it?
It is critical. And I think, my experience in Los Angeles had only reinforced that, right? Seeing Sean and Les operate the way that they did. And by default, because of Liam and I, we both have the same roots.
Yeah.
So by default, we're aligned on a lot of what we value. And there will be arguments along the way in terms of disagreeing on, having watched a player separately. Yeah. And not necessarily viewing them through the same lens. But, at the same time, all we have to do at that point is sit down together, turn on the tape, start talking out loud one play after the other, and we're going to find a bridge, find a way to connect the dots. And, I really look forward to that, because just getting to work is where you build the connective tissue that makes it all go.
Is that the most difficult? Difficult might be the wrong word, James, but is that the most angst when Les says, gosh, I like player X, and Sean says, boy, I like player Y, and they're both smart and they trust each other. But you got to pick either X or Y. Is that a difficult time, whether it's free agency, the draft, or whatever? How does that work?
It's not. When everybody drops their ego and isn't interested in being the one that's right, as opposed to making the right decision for the team that we work for, I think that goes a long way.
The traits versus production conversation is what everybody has. There's a lot of guys in the league that have long arms and run really fast that don't turn out to be great football players. I know that's not a binary answer. It's not one or the other. But how do you mitigate that?
I always think about it as talent and intangibles.
Okay.
And we're going to be hunting up the guys that have both. But, the thing is, those guys aren't abundantly available. So we'll lean into intangibles more than anything, and keep that as something we prioritize and be disciplined in that approach.
It's early. You just got here, but do you have an impression of the Jaguars roster yet? Is that an unfair question since you just got the job on Friday and we're sitting here on Tuesday? But do you have a thought about what you're working with yet?
Yeah, there's some talent in some key spots, and that was one of the things that was most exciting, most alluring about this opportunity. And we're meeting with our coaching and scouting staff this week to discuss not only our roster but also pro free agency.
Yeah.
And can't really wait to to get into those conversations. We started them this morning. Took a break here for Media Row, but really looking forward to getting back.
What's the combine do for you? Do you meet players, you see players? How valuable is this week?
Yeah, I think for us, based off where we are on the timeline, it's basically an offsite. It's a chance for us to be under the same roof for 24 hours a day and build some of the connective tissue that I think I continue to mention is so critical to really us finding alignment, not only amongst our leadership group, but amongst our staffs.
You mentioned at the top your relationship with Liam. We all know that. You guys have been together. Tell me about Liam. Tell me about what you like about Liam as being the head coach that's going to work side by side with you. What do you like about him?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, he's an elite communicator, a humble human being, and he gives this team a notable edge simply by the way he calls a game and schemes up his players to put them in the spots that they're going to find success. And so I really look forward to growing our relationship because it's been a few years since we worked under the same roof, but at the same time, because we come from the same roots, I know that we have the same values in place.
So tell me about your life now. You got one on the way. Mm-hmm. You're having to move across the country. Mm-hmm. Crazy, right? I mean, what's the plan? What's next for you personally? How do you do all this?
You know what? It certainly takes support. I can't do it alone. My wife, Julie, is obviously pregnant, and she's got about a 30-day window here before travel is no longer allowed. So it does put a shot clock on really our timeline. Yeah. So we'll speed things up here down, the next week or two, and she'll take on a lot of that burden, and I know she'll do a great job, and I'll try and do what I can. And, we've been working together. I mean, shoot. Yeah. We've spent more than half of our lives together, right? I'm 34. Okay. We met in middle school. All right.
That's awesome. I didn't know that part. That's awesome.
So we've been along for this ride, seen the phases of each other throughout the entirety of our lives. And, without her, I wouldn't be who I am. And I think that goes both ways. And, I just really look forward to this phase and what it brings with it.
How important is it? That's a cool story. I didn't know that part. For your family, your folks, your wife, how big a deal is this? Are they pinching themselves a little bit, or is there too much to do?
I'm trying to you bringing back those emotions.
I know. So,
I think they really enjoy it, and my parents, they ground me, and they've always provided such sound wisdom, such sound ways of thinking, and throughout this process, like. When people became aware that it was something that I was a part of, they immediately, for the most part, would say, wow, what a great op. That's so cool that, you get a chance to do this. And my dad would always go back to, is this something you want to do? Is this what's going to make you happy? Yeah. And, I think that those lines of thought, they've always made it so that I can, reconsider things beneath the surface that might not just be standing there right at the top. And, I think their value is immense to me.
That is very cool. And I can see how real and visceral that is for you. And it's cool for me to hear you say that. I mean that very sincerely. Final thing or two. The connection to the Sneeds. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you were a young man when you got the job of the Rams. And I sense that connection was a big part of your growth in that. Can you speak to that a second about Les and Kara and what they've meant to you?
Yeah, when I was a high school teacher, high school football coach, I had a vision for my life that's what I was going to be doing for a long time. Yeah. When I first met Les, when I first met Kara, I had no intentions of pursuing a path in the NFL, but Les was somebody I was drawn to. He's unapologetically himself, and he was somebody that I felt like I could learn from, somebody that I really wanted to support. And throughout my entire time with the Rams, that's where my mind was. It was never looking forward. It was rooted in that. And whenever that was going to change, that was when I would consider other options, but it never got to that point. And, they altered the trajectory of my life, and I'm forever grateful for that. And it's an experience that I'll carry forward with me and, my day-to-day here in this role.
Well, it landed here. It's not the end of the journey. It's the next chapter in the book. But congratulations. We're all really impressed with you, and we're excited you're here. You'll find out that the Jaguar fan base is a wonderful fan base.
Oh, I can already feel it.
They can't wait to have you here. So, James Gladstone, the brand new GM, thank you for stopping by. Good luck in Jacksonville.
Appreciate the opportunity for the fans. Appreciate the support.
James, thank you very much.
Till the next one.
Okay, Lauren, back to you for just a second. Liam's going to join us in a minute. James Gladstone, the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Really good stuff there from James Gladstone. And I'm so glad Frank asked the question, Taylor, that we've been talking about ever since his press conference yesterday. And that is that, yes, he has a lot of life change happening in a very short period of time. not only does he have his young family to move here, he also has to determine every need that this Jaguars team has. Obviously, he's familiar with free agents in the NFL because he was already familiar with that when he was with the Rams. But he has to figure out what this team needs. Guys like a Christian Kirk, as far as whether or not they want to, keep him. And it sounds like they want to. But we'll take a quick break, and then we will get it to Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen with Frank Frangie on the other side on 1010XL on 82.5 FM.
For many, it's the happiest place on earth.
At 17 in Players Championship.
Get live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling.
And Beaver Toyota.
On 1010XL.
Elevate your happy hour at the new Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road. Inspired by the vibrant and diverse culinary traditions of the Mediterranean, Dua has a unique South Florida vibe and welcoming atmosphere. Savor handcrafted cocktails and delicious happy hour specials every Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Whether kicking back after work or starting your night in style, Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road is where good times and great flavors meet. DuaLoungeJacks.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
Do you have clicking, popping, swelling, or pain in your knee or shoulder? This can be due to arthritic changes in your joints. Over time, you have wear and tear of your cartilage. I am Dr. George Bari, and here at Bari Orthopedics, we have numerous ways to treat your arthritis, such as regenerative medicine, including PRP and joint replacements with CT guidance for accuracy down to the millimeter. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, call us for an appointment today or log on to BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Epic Florida Heat is on its way. Epic Cool Heating and Air will check out your AC system and keep you epically cool. Stay epically comfortable and visit EpicHVACService.com. That's EpicHVACService.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale Lighting, Fans, and Home Decor on 1010XL.
Let's head back up to Indianapolis. The play-by-play voice of the Jaguars, Frank Frangie, is standing by with Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen. Frank, take it away.
All right, Lauren, thank you very much. We are here, Frank Frangie, with you from Indianapolis. Liam Cohen, the head coach now, making all the rounds. How are you, man?
Frank, appreciate you having me on. This is awesome. Really pleasure to be here.
Is it crazy? I mean, you told me something during the break. It's great. It's football, right? So you're enjoying this.
It is. I mean, what an opportunity to be around your staff for the first time, be able to see so many people that have helped pave the way, and friendships and relationships that you've been able to forge along the way. So really excited to be here.
Tell me about your staff. We all know now Grant's in place, Campanile's in place. Mm-hmm. They're the names. They're the coordinator names, but there's way more than that.
Yeah.
You're comfortable. Tell me how you put the staff together and how you feel about it.
Yeah, it was ultimately when you get hired, your first thought goes to the players. How do we go and build the most competitive staff that we can within the time frame that we have? Every single one of our coaches that we hired had another place to go in the NFL. Every single one. So you don't just have a board of guys that you can just go and pick, right? You got to go compete to go get them. You got to go recruit. And we recruited against a lot of really good football coaches and organizations to go get the guys that we did. And it's a group of dynamic, hungry, tough, mentally and physically tough people that want to get this thing right, and they got a chip on their shoulder. There's a prove-it mentality here, and we all have it.
I talked to James about it a minute ago, and so I'll tell you the same thing I said to him. The alignment and collaboration are the big buzzwords now, right? That's because they're so important.
That's right.
I do get the sense, I just met James, and I've known Bo forever, and we've gotten to know you now. I sense that's in place. I know it's early, but it feels that way, doesn't it?
It's very natural.
Yeah.
It is. It's a natural bridge that has been formed. And I've been able to watch James for a little while now, right? We were in the same organization in different arenas within that organization, but we both kind of ascended in different ways, right? And I went into a different path. He stayed there and continued to learn under Les and under Sean and with those guys. It's such a natural bridge of that communication and collaboration that we talk about, which is really exciting right now.
People rave about him, man. Yeah. What makes James Gladstone so good?
It's the elite communication skills. Like, he's so intelligent without making it known that he's one of the more intelligent guys in the room.
Great call. That's a great read on him.
You know, and just he can communicate with a defensive line coach the same that he can go and communicate with the athletic trainer. I mean, he just has a great way about him, very unassuming. He's a coach's kid. He's a coach's son. He grew up in locker rooms. He grew up on sidelines. And, those are things that I value personally and will ultimately help us with this whole process.
So since you've had the job, you've hired a bunch of staff, you've had to come here, there's a lot of stuff going on. What has it all been like? Can you catch your breath? Have you spent any time with your family? Have they moved? You got to move them. I mean, take me through the process to this point.
Right. So after hiring James on Friday, with some of that deal that we did, Saturday was the first time I've been able to breathe.
Yeah.
And it was a great breath of fresh air in terms of, okay, we're here. Now we can truly move forward. And you're excited about that. It gave me a boost of energy, actually, because, it was a grind. It was a grind to get this thing going. But the family will be here this week.
Oh, good.
The kids will come out Wednesday. My wife will come out Friday. She sold the house back in Tampa already.
Good.
And we'll do some house hunting over the course of the next week. And it's been phenomenal. Everybody's support, their passion for getting this thing right and doing it right in the process in which we want to do those things. I think that's what's exciting is everybody wants to see the process be clean. As long as the process is clean, the results will come.
And now there's some normalcy in your life, which is good. Tell me about the Combine. What do you get out of the Combine? What is this week like for you guys? Obviously, you're having to deal with knuckleheads like us for a while, but what's this week mean for you, talking to players the whole bit?
Yeah, we took our mode of operation from Jacksonville and took it to Indy.
Okay.
Right? So our offensive, defensive, and special team staffs, they're meeting as if they would be in Jacksonville right now. Obviously, they have to pivot and be able to do some of the undrafted, free agency meetings, the draft meetings, and those interviews. In their meantime, they're meeting. They're in there. So we're getting in the weeds. We're doing what we would be doing if we were in Jacksonville. We're just here in Indy. And then it's a great opportunity to get with the guys. We get with the staff, get to know each other a little bit more, watch them coach, right? Because in these formal meetings, you're watching your coach's coach. And so you're getting a great evaluation of these guys, and it gets you excited. So I think it's more about the collaboration with the group, right? Getting to know each other, feel each other out, and truly build those relationships.
Liam, I asked you this the day you got the job, and you couldn't have known a whole lot of them, what you see on TV, but now you've had the job. Can you get a feel for your players yet? I know you've met with a lot of them. You haven't coached them yet or seen them play yet. Tell me about your roster, how you feel about it, maybe even differently now than 2-3 weeks ago.
I think there's a chip on their shoulder. I do. I think there's a chip on their shoulder. These guys know that they lost a lot of games by one score or less, and they're in a lot of football games. It's one thing to get beat; it's another thing to lose games, and we've got to eliminate losing games ourselves, right? You're going to get beat; it's part of the game. It's not going to be a standard, but it's part of it. We've got to eliminate losing games, and I think that these guys are hungry. They've got a chip. They want to prove it. They know that it's not that far off, and the work's coming, and I think they're excited about that.
Final thing or two. I was with Josh Hines Allen about a week or so ago. Raved about you. Raved about talking to you. And Josh is a smart guy now. He's a really smart. He said, you get to know these coaches, and you get to know people who are going to be your bosses, and you can really tell. Players are smart.
They are.
And you can tell when a guy is legit, sincere, and I can't wait to play for the guy. That's what he told me. And so I get the sense you've already connected with some of those guys.
Yeah. We actually had a great opportunity to connect and have some multiple conversations, both personally and with football. And I've got so much respect for Josh. He's somebody that you want to embody what is a Jaguar, right? What are we trying to be both on the field and off the field as a father, as a husband, right, in the community? Those are the things that we're looking to build upon, right? And, he comes from a place that I know, Brad White was his coach in college, who's a really good friend of mine. And I know Brad sees him as a son and somebody that he loves, that's a part of his family. And those are the relationships ultimately you are trying to build, right? This isn't just about winning and losing. It's about relationships and impacting people's lives.
I talked to Mark Stoops, a friend of mine. I said, "Did you talk to Mark about Liam?" He said, "Absolutely, I did." And he raved about you too. So
cool.
You're off to a great start. Hey, congratulations! Thank you for spending some time. I know it was a busy time for you. Good luck. I can't wait for the next one. But thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Frank. I appreciate it.
Liam Cohen, the Jaguars head coach. Back to you, Lauren.
Thanks, Frank, and great job certainly catching up with both James Gladstone and Liam Cohen. I know it's always fun for Frank to get to spend a little time with them on air and off air as well and get to know their personalities. Certainly, the more information you get from a head coach prior to calling the game, that
probably helps a little.
That is certainly helpful. That is for sure. All right, we will bring it back on the other side and certainly break down a few things that both James and Liam said. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on an epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
You can always tell which ones were captured in the wild by the look in their eyes. The Wildcat.
1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
The Frangie Show will be live from the new Duo Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road this Thursday the 27th. Join us for their happy hour from 4 to 6 with food and drinks inspired by the Mediterranean. Plus, your chance to win Duo gift cards.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Coen Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is RJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Coen Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at coenflowers.com.
Hi, Jags fans. Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 25th, 1977, New Orleans Jazz Pete Maravich sets NBA record for most points a guard has ever scored with 68 points in the Jazz's win over the New York Knicks.
Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist, performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple of years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
We appreciate the hard work of everyone up in Indianapolis. We also appreciate Hodges Mazda for sending Frank Hayes and Mia to the Combine, also Window World. Good stuff there from Frank chatting with both James Gladstone and Liam Cohen. I'll start with James Gladstone as far as Taylor, the ideas that he has as far as building this team. I think that the Rams, certainly Les Snead, working closely with him, helped him to identify talent.
Mm-hmm.
I also think because he wanted to work at the high school level, he said earlier today at the podium that his plan was to be a high school teacher, work alongside his dad. I think that when you have that type of desire, you're then also going to focus on guys even younger. I think he's someone who pays attention to maybe freshmen in college, not just the guys that are going to be draft eligible, because he's used to seeing and identifying talent at that younger age.
Yeah, which is it's one of my favorite things to go back and talk to coaches who had some of these star athletes in high school and have the conversations of when was the first time you knew that moment, like this was a different level kid. And the ones that can identify talent are like the moment I saw him, the moment I saw the tape, or the moment I saw him play in this game, you could just see that next level. And not everybody has that eye, obviously. And somebody like him who wanted to be in that world still and grew up in that world also helps, because you do see the differences, and you have to be able to separate, this guy is just really fast, or this fast can transfer to an in-game situation. And where do you want him? Do you want him on the defensive side of the ball? And in high school, obviously, everyone plays kind of everywhere. So you'll see someone that's a wide receiver, a running back, a quarterback, a safety. Like, they'll play all over. So not only are you identifying the talent, you're identifying where you project them to be once they get their weight, because sometimes that doesn't happen until college. You see these guys still in the NFL saying you need to put on weight once they get to that level. So I think it's incredible, and it gives it just such a different, unique vision that you don't normally have, especially at that level of a general manager.
I also wonder, does the Bucs organization wish that they had fired Todd Bowles? We kind of talked about this when the story came out that Liam Cohen kind of ghosted Jason Light, the general manager of the Bucs. Are they wishing, as Liam now meets with media as a member of the Jaguars organization, the head coach of the Jags, are they wishing, and I'm sure they would tell you, no they've made the playoffs. But when you start to think about how Bowles is obviously much more of a defensive guy, Liam Cohen, such an offensive genius pretty much, and Grant Udinski along with him in that regard, do they wish that they had been able to be able to keep him long term?
And I'm sure there's moments where they look back, and especially where the league has headed, when you talk about the offensive minded head coaches, it will be fascinating this year to see what. And Todd Bowles has this history of hiring really, really well. So that's one thing that you kind of do have to look at it as a positive there. Before Liam Cohen, he was still able to evaluate the coaching that was going to come in here and right away impact. And he did it multiple times in his time in Tampa. So they are probably comfortable in the sense of right now of saying he's proven to us before he can bring the right people in here to build around. But both when you're talking about the Tampa Bay Bucs and you're talking about the Detroit Lions losing their play callers who have helped so much offensively, and also having defensive-minded coaches, is going to be fascinating to follow of what that looks like when you lose such a massive part of what made your offense tick in every single aspect in this this last year or two. And so I do think that I'm sure there's moments where there were contemplation of, do we go with what everybody else is doing and go this offensive-minded head coach, or do we stick with Todd Bowles, who has, like I said, hired the right people, who's been able to be successful? And I think that you have to kind of weigh your pros and cons in that. But I wouldn't say they're regretting it, but I'm sure it crossed their minds.
And the Bucs, for people who missed it, they did promote from within for their offensive coordinator position to replace Liam Cohen with Josh Grizzard. He was the team's pass game coordinator last season. So I'm sure the familiarity with Baker Mayfield on the offense is good for them. And yes, Baker certainly didn't want to lose Liam. We know that. And the other playmakers there loved Liam Cohen. But at the end of the day, anytime you're a successful offensive or defensive coordinator, you're going to have the ability to be promoted to become a head coach one day. And so it was only a matter of time, it feels, for Liam. It is interesting that there weren't lots of other teams lined up to hire him.
Yeah.
Whereas there were certainly other teams that were interested in offensive coordinator Grant Udinski.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've talked about some of those things, and some of it was just the 1 year of calling plays in the NFL. Some of it was maybe the bounce around of back and forth between the Rams, Kentucky, and then the Bucks. And so some people had concerns, but I think that the one thing, and with Shad Khan when he's making this decision, and yes, we know we say it was a couple of weeks later than maybe people would have wanted, because that also kind of backtracked. It pushed back the general manager search too. It looks like they got the two guys that at the end they feel like is best for where they are, and so you do have to look at it in that light and say, maybe the path was maybe not exactly the way you would have liked.
It's circuitous.
Yeah, it was a little different, but I do think that when you are making these hires, and we've talked about each of these were also the last. So I want, like, Liam Cohen was the last one they hired. Interviewed. He ended up getting hired. We talked Gladstone, last one they interviewed, he got hired. I want to say Udinski was too. And so they had, I think, this list of guys. And to me, it was almost fitting that each of these guys being their last interview, to me, felt those people waited a little bit more for them. Like, waited as in WEIGHTED. Not waited for them.
Paid more as far as, what they wanted. As far as the Albert Breer column earlier in the power structure, we mentioned it, but I wanted to read a couple of sentences from his Monday Morning Quarterback yesterday. As for how all of this will look logistically, he's told Baselli, Gladstone, and Cohen will all report directly to Khan. Gladstone will oversee the draft, free agency, and all facets of building the roster. Cohen will be in charge of everything and everyone on the grass, players, coaches, etc. Baselli, meanwhile, will oversee areas such as strength and conditioning, medical, travel, facilities, and PR, which the Jags hope will allow for Gladstone to focus on building the roster and Cohen to focus on coaching the team, which is what they were hired to do. So, all facets of building the roster, draft, free agency make sense for a GM. Mm-hmm. And then Baselli handling pretty much everything else. I do think that it's fascinating that they all report directly to Shad Khan, like we talked about yesterday. But at the end of the day, I still think Baselli is kind of a liaison. Even though that's not what they're saying, it still feels to me like Baselli is a little bit of a liaison between GM, head coach, and Shad, because he's going to be in the building every day, whereas Shad is not in the building every day. One other, since we just talked about Jason Light, one other news item coming out of the Combine, Hayes Carline asked Bucs GM about what kind of a coach the Jaguars are getting in Liam Cohen.
Well, Liam's a fantastic coach. We had a fantastic offense last year. Very dynamic, very innovative. Have a lot of respect for Liam and the job that he did.
Fantastic. This is fantastic. I think it's funny hearing, obviously, we know that the way that things went down there. And so for him he still is going to be in the light of, you can't deny what he did with Baker Mayfield in this offense last year. And when I was talking to Mike Dempsey in Crosstalk, of the Bucky Irving conversation is something that sticks out to me so much, or the Bucky Irving season, because we were told he was going to be just like a special teams backup running back, and he became such a focal point of that offense. And so quickly, Liam Cohen, and being able to add a couple pieces to that offensive line and make that run game 10 times better than what it had been in the recent years. And I think that is something that's so fascinating to me. So when you go through, there's no denying what Liam Cohen was able to do this last offseason with Baker, with Bucky, with the offensive line, with the schemes, with making things just simplified for Baker too, which is something we've talked about here doing. And they mentioned that today. I think Liam Cohen was like, Trevor can do everything, but you also want to, he's learning another new scheme, another new playbook now, and this is multiple times in his very early start of his career in the NFL.
Yeah, third head coach.
Yeah,
he's been
already.
in the NFL for 4 years.
And so you do, you don't want to put too much on him right away, and I like that because we've talked about that so much of what Joe Brady's done with Josh Allen and how the simplification turned into his career year, and that's what you want to see here in Jacksonville with Trevor too.
I mentioned strength and conditioning. The Jaguars did announce the full complement of coaches, and the new strength and conditioning coach is Eric Ciano. I know he was with the Bills for 15 years before he was fired 12 days ago, which came as a big surprise up there in Buffalo. I heard Frank and Hayes talking about it yesterday, and they chatted with Ryan O'Halloran, who obviously covers the Bills in Buffalo and used to be here in Jacksonville. And Ryan told them that players love Eric Ciano, and they were not happy that he was fired. And so that's good news for the Jags to have, hey, some experience.
Yeah.
What do you know? The person in this role of head strength and conditioning coach has experience in that role before. I didn't know that was
You're like,
allowed.
oh, that's allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think collectively this group is going to turn this franchise around. I believe that now hearing all this. I wasn't sure at first about Liam Cohen as far as because he did hire a first-time offensive coordinator, a first-time defensive coordinator. But I do think having now heard from everyone that's involved, I think they've got a great plan. And it, to me, comes back to time and time again, the talent evaluation. When you have the right set of eyes evaluating the talent and then putting those players in the right positions, coaching them well, developing them well, the onboarding, like that word, by the way, is being thrown around by James Gladstone and Liam Cohen, onboarding. Onboarding is not something that was only a Trent Baalke thing. It is now going to be identifying those players, bringing them here, and identifying players not just great on the field, but also very disciplined. That's certainly another word that James Gladstone talked about over the last couple days. And this team, I think, is going to look drastically different. Even if there's not that much roster turnover overall as far as the starters, I still think they're going to play at a much higher level.
Yeah, I mean, and I still think you're talking about some of the more important position groups that you will be adding and hopefully immediate starters when we're talking about both sides of the line. I've said on here I want at least 4 on each side. I mean, not 4 and 4, but like 4 total at least that I want to see on the offensive line. Me personally, I think you need 2 safeties. I think you need another corner on the outside. You're going to need another weapon. That's some of that depending on what happens with Christian Kirk. But I still think they'd bring somebody in that light. So you are talking about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people that I'm hoping are fresh starters on this roster. That's a good portion of when you're talking about a team who has been being built now for a few years, and you felt like you were getting closer at this last offseason to being that, and it's never a finished product, but closer to where you want to be. And now I do feel like we had to take a step back in some of that, and a lot of that probably is the secondary, honestly, or the defense in general. But we will also see how they evaluate it. How much are they going to link to this just being a bad defensive scheme, and how much is it the actual personnel on the field?
Some NFL breaking news. The Bills and wide receiver Khalil Shakir, your guy, Taylor, agreed to an extension, a 4-year extension worth $60.2 million.
I thought you were going to say parted ways. I was like,
No, with $32 million guaranteed, definitely not parting ways. And then Chiefs GM Brett Veach was asked about Travis Kelce and whether or not he's going to retire. And he said that Kelce is fired up about entering the final year of his contract and playing. So Travis Kelce, many thought, he might retire. But at this point in time, it sounds like he's going to play. And then in non-NFL news, due to the weather, there's not going to be a game tonight between JU and FSU. It will be now tomorrow night. So that one's rescheduled to tomorrow at 6. So if you were looking forward to JU and FSU at here in Jacksonville, that game is going to be moved to tomorrow night, 6 p.m. first pitch. All right, on the other side, we will check in with Mia O'Brien up in Indianapolis, get the latest from up there. Once again, thanks to our friends at Hodges Mazda and Window World. It's 10 to Next on 92.5 FM.
Looking for a unique way to boost your team's spirit or raise funds for an organization? How about a thrilling, action-packed game of poker at Best Bet? Experience the thrill of poker while enhancing teamwork and communication skills. Whether you're a novice or a pro, our expert dealers will guide you through every hand. Enjoy delicious food, refreshing drinks, and a lively atmosphere, all at Best Bet. It's the perfect blend of fun and games. Book your team building or charity event today. Visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Mia here. You want to know what I'm so over? Resolutions. I mean, you're just kind of setting yourself up for a letdown, right? But you want to know what I am into? The Revolution, hitting the road in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. So what do you say? Join the Arlington Toyota Revolution and save big with financing as low as 0% on select new Toyota models. 0%. Or join the Revolution with up to $8,500 off select new Toyotas. I like saving $8,500, don't you? Plus, every new purchase from Arlington comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty. That's unlimited time and miles. And Arlington's 60-day exchange program. That's 60 days to love your new Toyota purchase or exchange it for one that you do. Now's the time to save big and join the Revolution in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror, fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here. In the past 10 years, the weight loss industry has seen it all. New medications, fad diets, sculpting, and still, Awaken 180 continues to stand alone as the proven solution for weight loss online at awaken180weightloss.com.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website customtreesurgeons.com. That's customtreesurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
A customer with an older home and galvanized piping called saying they had poor water pressure. It smelled bad and was discolored. So we at Duck Rooter sent a highly skilled manager to discuss options. How repiping the water lines would solve the issues. The result? Clean flowing water. Call for your free estimate. 904-862-6769. Visit duckrooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jags. Serving commercial and residential, fully insured and certified plumbing contractor.
Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The North Florida men's basketball team fell late to the FGCU Eagles in last night's matchup, 86-82. North Florida cut the margin to a one-possession game twice over the final minute, but FGCU was able to maintain the lead by converting on their late opportunities at the free throw line. Ospreys head coach Matthew Driscoll postgame on his guys' effort despite the loss.
Again, just amazing resiliency with this group. Found a way to get stops, found a way to get scores, found a way to find each other. To their credit, they made big free throws down the stretch. Obviously, they came out on top tonight, and they happen to be better tonight. However, love the effort, love the energy. We just got to continue to be persistent in what we're doing and don't allow to have one or two of those situations present themselves where they go on a 7 run or they go on an 8-point run, and next thing you know, you're fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting.
It's 68 degrees at 12:56. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
He hasn't had the stability. That is something that, similar to Baker, you guys asked about in terms of that stability. It's important, but he's going to learn. He's learned so much from his different experiences, right? For good and for bad. And he can take those experiences to really dive into this new process. But I think what's critical is is how do we get him to that standard and that structure and that schedule throughout his process once he gets here. So now we truly focus on him, not as much where he's been, what he's had. He can take and log those experiences, but now how do we create a little bit of sameness, give him a schedule? Hey, Mondays, this is what we want, look for your daily rhythm. Tuesdays within the season with third downs. As we start to move towards red zone, how do we kind of connect with him to have a schedule? I think that's the consistency that we're going to try to create for him.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Some of the comments of Liam Cohen, who met with media at the NFL Combine at the podium earlier and then also joined Frank Frangie one-on-one, as did Jaguars general manager James Gladstone. Mia O'Brien joins us from up in Indy. Mia, one of the things certainly that stood out to me is that Trevor is going to be a part of deciding some of the players that will be on the Jaguars roster. That, to me, screams Christian Kirk will be back.
Yes, and I'm not sure if the audio has been relayed to you guys yet. I am in the process. It's literally transferring as I'm coming to you live from Indianapolis. The audio from the local media availability between Liam Cohen and reporters here in Indianapolis, but from the Jacksonville market. He was specifically asked by our Hayes Carline about the relationship between, actually, no, it wasn't Liam. Sorry, it's all blending together. Very crazy day here at the Combine. James Gladstone was asked specifically about if a player like Trevor, who obviously has influence on the organization, if he is to him and his relationships, does that have an impact on the roster? And he said most definitely. And so, yes, that relationship is being taken into consideration as they evaluate the entire roster.
Mia, one of the things we've talked about a lot is just how quickly this has happened with James Gladstone. And he talked about it a few times of just the quickness of getting hired, having to now really dive into this Jaguars roster. And then now I think he mentioned he hadn't been to the Combine since like 2019, actually. And so what are the vibes that you're getting from that in the sense of how familiar he is with this roster, how much maybe he's leaning on Tony Baselli and Liam Cohen, who have now obviously been around a little bit longer?
Yeah, Taylor, I don't want to say that it's he's not familiar with the roster, because by all accounts during the interview, he had specific plans for each individual member of the Jags 53-man roster, 90-man roster. And certainly you can say, well, he's got a binder in front of him. He better have a plan for everybody. He's gone through with his own staff, his, representation, and they've laid out exactly what the quote-unquote right answers to the test are, right? I think more than that, I think it's a great job by James Gladstone to not want to speak out of turn. He was also asked about Christian Kirk at the podium by a reporter from another market, and again, he just said, as of this writing, Christian Kirk's on our roster. We're excited to work with him. And I think saying things like that, talking about the interior of the offensive line, but not actually saying any names, I don't think that's him not knowing the roster. I think that's him playing it safe, because as soon as he says, yeah, we're evaluating the center position, well, then all of a sudden everyone's talking about Mitch Morse is on the hot seat, So I think that it's been, I don't want to say a masterclass, but certainly it's been a well-executed morning, afternoon, day so far of media availabilities by the Jaguars, two of their three top brass members.
Yeah, and Mia, speaking of the top brass members, one of those will be joining Frank tomorrow and Tony Baselli, and so that's good news to really get the trifecta. As far as the offense is concerned, another thing that I loved coming out of today's questionnaires or question and answers is that the offense is going to go through Brian Thomas Jr. Hallelujah!
That, and there were a couple other zingers from James Gladstone. I alluded to the one about the interior of the offensive line setting the plate, or the plate. What was it? It's the dish that sets the table, or something like that. Mm-hmm. But also about how the defense. That was, I think, the final question he was asked at the podium. The defense is going to be something that Jaguar fans have never seen before. I specifically asked him during the scrum. I asked James Gladstone, the GM of your Jaguars. I asked about arm length and measurables that will be evaluated here at the Combine, being buzzwords in the city of Jacksonville over the better part of the last 5 years. And I asked him what sort of impact, how important does he value measurables like that? And he said, you can look at any of my most recent drafts, you can look at the arm length, and I think you'll have your answer there, which is to say Braden Fisk, a player who I know for a fact was, I don't want to say taken off the Jaguars board, but certainly dinged for his arm length, let alone his age as a 24-year-old rookie. He was not only selected by James Gladstone and the Los Angeles Rams a year ago, they traded up some premium capital to go get someone who perhaps a previous general manager would have said his arms are too short.
It is refreshing to hear the word intangibles a lot more than we are the measurables right now, just because that has been such a, it's just such a trigger word for everyone here. Mia, when you tweeted earlier at 11 a.m., Liam Cohen, the Jags, Bucks, and Raiders all had people speaking at the same time at 11, and all those organizations have been through quite a bit of change in this last month or so. What are the vibes overall about some of these teams that have also got new head coaches? And because I know that the vibes here are positive, does it feel like that everywhere right now?
First and foremost, I don't want to speak too loudly. Jason Licht is actually doing an interview with Tampa Radio at the table next to the Taylors. I got to keep it quiet. Yeah, I mean, look, like when it comes to the Jaguars, I think that every non-Jacksonville media member, that was one of their first questions, the youth of the coaching staff, the youth of the organization at the executive level as a whole. And I can tell you this, like I had a couple conversations this morning with folks, and they agree with us. They say, what do you have to lose? Not only are you the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it's the one thing you haven't tried yet. And so I think that collectively, I think there's intrigue across the league. I forget where I either read, heard, it wasn't Ryan Clark. I forget who we had on recently, or I listened to something. Essentially, someone tried, I think it actually might have been Football 301 with Yahoo Sports. Anyways, point is, there was an analogy that was attempted to be made between Nathaniel Hackett's staff, his one failed season in Denver as the head coach, which was a historically young staff, and the staff here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think that that's a fair comparison, just because I think that the rosters, the quarterback situation are different. I'm sure there is someone driving around in Jacksonville right now hearing that and is going to run with that quote and is going to say, no, that's who we are. This is all wrong. That blew up. This is going to blow. I don't know if it's going to work out either. But I do think that situation did not have Tony Baselli as an EVP. It did not have the checks and balances system. Quite frankly, Nathaniel Hackett had never actually been outside of his time in Jacksonville for the 3 previous years that got him that job. He wasn't a play calling offense coordinator in Green Bay. And so I think they're very different situations. But yes, I think that when you think Jacksonville Jaguars here at the Combine this year, the youth movement is certainly front of mind.
We heard James Gladstone tell Frank earlier, Mia, that he met his wife in middle school. So they've now been together. That's pretty much
half his life.
Yeah,
more than half
well
his
over
life.
half his life. And so, again, when we talk about youth, yes, it's one thing. Like Liam Cohen and his wife have only been together 5 years, yet he's 39. And so it's different for everyone. But I find stuff like that interesting in as far as when it comes to relationship building. I feel like it's a pretty good feather in your cap if you can say that you've been with your wife since middle school, and obviously you can then sustain really good relationships for a long time.
Yeah, I think because Liam Cohen has been on the job a couple weeks longer than James Gladstone has, I think we've exhausted the storyline of his father was a high school coach and how close he and his dad are. But, I mean, to listen to James Gladstone, not only yesterday at the press conference, but also at the podium, and then even in our local media scrum, he is also the son of a coach. He wanted to we did debunk this. I don't know if D-Rock tweeted it out yet. Not only was his dream aspiration to be like his dad, like his grandfather, because his grandfather was also the head coach at his high school. Not only was his dream to become the head coach and the athletic director at Vianney High School, but also he wanted to change the world of physical education and how the United States views it. Like, how did this guy think he's going to be a high school teacher? With all due respect to our teachers. Like, clearly loftier goals than just I'm going to be an AD or I'm going to be a head coach.
You're lucky most teachers are working right now. So
I know. Listen, I got 3 cousins who are teachers, Lauren. My grandmother was an educator. My aunt, I'm in line to say it. Point is, much higher level like thinking much more worldly as opposed to at the micro level, although he certainly stressed the importance of empowering and building relationships with us. But yeah, his first job right out of school, in order to get his foot in the door, he was the librarian, or the media outreach specialist coordinator. There's some fancy title, but essentially he was a librarian. And then obviously a couple of years later, he had the opportunity to not only join his father when he came out of retirement, and then he also had the opportunity to join Les Snead as his assistant with the then St. Louis Rams. And so quite a journey. But again, back to your point about relationships, he, like Liam Cohen, not only is this a story of fathers and sons, but it's a story of someone who has known that he wanted to be not only in football, but investing in the lives of the next generation of those involved in the game since he was very young. And I think that, not that there aren't other head coaches and other GMs that are in that situation, but it's fascinating that both head coach and GM have a similar lineage.
For sure. By the way, did you get Jordan Rodriguez's test results?
No, I didn't actually. Honestly, I butchered that one. He's around here somewhere. And like then I was like going to try to go run and grab him while he was at Jags.com. Unfortunately, as you guys very well know, the Wi-Fi here can be a little, questionable because there's so many media outlets from so many different places. So I was so focused on getting our videos, our audios fed back to 1010XL World Headquarters. I did not get a chance to. Jordan is around here somewhere. I will not leave Indianapolis until I get her test results.
By the way, did we know that TK was a nickname for Tony Khan?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've known that, from talking to people.
It took me a second, and I don't know why. I was like, TK. Oh.
Well, I think because our sheriff's name is TK Waters, that's where my brain immediately went to. And I was like, Liam's already met the sheriff? Man, he's getting around.
I mean, listen, the sheriff, speaking of we need to be careful who's listening, the sheriff is a daily, hourly, every minute of everyday listener to 1010XL. Shout out TK Waters. But no, lots of folks, and maybe it's because I'm a fringe wrestling fan, as Tony Khan once referred to me as. Maybe that's why TK is what people in the wrestling world have called him forever.
Gotcha. Mia, one of the things that Liam Cohen said to Frangie, when we just had him on a second ago, he said, it's one thing to get beat, it's another thing to lose games. We've got to eliminate losing games ourselves. And that stuck out to me so much because we've had these conversations about the one-score games a million times and how bad that's been. But when you look at the difference in that of losing and getting beat, and he said, you're going to get beat, it's not the standard, but you've got to stop losing these games themselves. That is like massive to me, and pointing out that, number one, he's seen all of this. He's seen what was happening these last couple years when it comes to games they probably should have won and beat themselves.
Yeah, and that's great self-evaluation, but also obviously it was the lead probably when he took the job. But yes, that needs to be at the forefront. And listening to James Gladstone as well, note that schematically, again, and Jim Harbaugh coined the phrase, and I will continue to use it, that maybe it's only a slight twist of the dial. It's only a slight turn that can completely change the trajectory of this franchise, like the Los Angeles Chargers a year ago. Slightly decrease that temperature, and all of a sudden you're talking about a completely different operation. And so I think when Liam Cohen says that is something that perhaps it's not as much of a heavy lift as on the outside it appears to be, because it comes down to execution and, quite frankly, being locked in and making those 2 or 3 plays that decide the outcome of a game. Now, Doug Peterson, in the final 2 months of his administration, said that seemingly every week, that we're not making those 2 or 3 plays that ultimately decide the outcome of a game. I'm curious to see exactly what Liam Cohen's plan is to make those plays where the previous Jaguars were not able to.
Absolutely. All right, Mia, we have a guest on the other side, so we will check in with you one more time before the end of the show. Appreciate your hard work up in Indianapolis, and we will check in with Amanda Harrington on the other side from the PGA Tour. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on an epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Players Championship is the biggest PGA Tour event you can win.
If you can't make it to the Players, let 1010XL bring the Players to you with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Leaderboard Updates. Teed up by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
The Deck Guys.
And Taco Lou.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up?
Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, they know how to stop termites, and they did that at my house. These destructive pests may have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so does Terminix, and their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem. I certainly did not want to. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
Elevate your happy hour at the new Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road. Inspired by the vibrant and diverse culinary traditions of the Mediterranean, Dua has a unique South Florida vibe and welcoming atmosphere. Savor handcrafted cocktails and delicious happy hour specials every Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Whether kicking back after work or starting your night in style, Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road is where good times and great flavors meet. DuaLoungeJacks.com.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
When you hear Florida Gators baseball on 1010XL, it's brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators, and Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Winter is almost over, and the Epic Florida heat is on its way. You need reliable air conditioning. Epic Cool Heating and Air is here. Take advantage of the Epic Gold membership program and use one of your 2 yearly tests of your entire AC system. You know it's going to be epically hot, so be epically prepared. Plus, no interest financing for 18 months. That's epic. Visit EpicHVACService.com today and trust the experts at Epic Cool Heating and Air to stay epically cool. That's EpicHVACService.com.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, congratulating our Stellar Athlete of the Week,
Danielle Paul, senior basketball player and track and field athlete at Mandarin High. Danielle is a member of the Student Athlete Leadership Team and the National Honor Society. Congratulations, Danielle.
Prosser here, still telling you about Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Lifetime Enclosures is keeping the sale going into February. Enclosures starting at only $89 a month, and if you get a complete enclosure done, you get free flooring. If you just need flooring, Lifetime Flooring is running a buy one room, get the second room free. Now offering floor coating for that garage or patio deck too. Give them a call or visit their showrooms just off Phillips Highway. Proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, I'm
I'm Janice. I'm a coach at Awaken 180 Weight Loss. When a client reaches the goal that they've set, they are so proud of themselves. They are so thrilled with how they look and how they feel. They are ready to take on the next thing. And that's one thing about weight loss. It's so much more than a number on a scale. It's about self-respect. It's a momentum thing. Now that I've lost 50 pounds, wow, there's no reason why I can't do this next thing that initially seemed so daunting, but now I know I can do it. The celebration is not just how much better you look and feel, but how much more self-respect you have. We get on a track of success at Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Losing weight with Awaken 180 isn't about the number on the scale. It's about how that number spearheads endless success. Bring your goals to Awaken 180, then celebrate when you check off each and every one of them. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday. Mia O'Brien up in Indianapolis as our coverage of the NFL Combine continues. Really appreciate Hodges Mazda at the Avenues for sending Frank Hayes and Mia, as well as Window World. We'll chat with Amanda Harrington from the PGA Tour coming up in just a second. But I did want to mention that last night, we talked about Ace on men's basketball yesterday, Taylor. Last night, JU did beat Eastern Kentucky 59-55 at home. So that's a big win. Yeah. And then obviously one more game for JU this season. And as far as the regular season, that's on Wednesday night as JU plays host to Stetson. That one's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. UNF unfortunately lost last night. You heard Molly say that in the update to Florida Gulf Coast. Just the bane of the ASUN existence, I feel like, is Florida Gulf Coast all the time. Florida Gulf Coast won 86-82, and then UNF wraps up its home slate also tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and then UNF plays host to Eastern Kentucky. So it's coming
down to the wire.
It is absolutely coming down to the wire, and I know that if JU wins against Stetson on Wednesday, they'll definitely host a tournament game. Okay. So that's exciting. Great, yeah. Yes. And UNF certainly trying to make the tournament. And it's just been one of those seasons. It started off so good for Coach Driscoll's team, winning against Power 4 teams earlier in the season. And then they've had certainly an up and down ASUN conference season. And so, yeah, they're hoping they got to make it in the tournament, and then you never know what's going to happen from there.
Well, yeah, and I feel like we've had the conversation so much of like when you're talking about the ASUN conference, and we've talked about the SEC obviously a lot. When it's fun when it's competitive, but sometimes you're like, dang. Stressful. And especially with the games that come down towards the end, when you really are relying on your last few games to decide whether you're hosting a game or even getting in, that's when it starts to add a little bit of stress. And I wanted to shout out the Icemen too, because they've been playing really good hockey recently. That 5-0-1 in their last 6 games, and so they're third in the South, and I think fourth in the entire league right now. So they're playing really good hockey, and they recently parted ways with their coach. So there was a little bit of concern of that, if there was going to be a drop off having that coaching change in kind of middle of the season. So we haven't haven't seen that, and it's really fun. They won an overtime game the other night, and so those are always exciting ones anyways. But yeah, I feel like I haven't talked enough about them recently. So
no, you have not. And it's funny. We all have kind of our like niche sports, right? Like I'll keep everyone updated with gymnastics, and then certainly local soccer, Mia with basketball, you with hockey. Like we've got all the sports covered. I know they want to say that like once the Super Bowl ends that it's like, quote unquote the NFL dead period. It's not. No. And obviously for other sports,
I don't know if there's a dead period. Like,
but in the NFL, there's
June,
never a
like
dead
the
period.
end of June to July. It's like that little gap of nothing. 6 weeks of not much, but outside of that, it's not.
And you certainly hope it's quiet for your team. Otherwise, that means that somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. As we await Amanda, I will tell you today's Terminix Pest of the Day. It is going to be ex-NFL player, current Broncos linebackers coach, or at least it was his job until the incident he had. Michael Wilhoit was arrested after assaulting a police officer. He was basically, when you're going to the airport and they tell you that you can't leave your vehicle in a certain place, right, in order to get into the airport. And so he was, just not following the rules. And then the police officer came up to him, and then he told the police officer to go somewhere, and a couple times said things that he shouldn't have said, and then eventually kind of bumped into the police officer, and now the officer's claiming some injuries. And so you can't do that, Michael Wilhoit. If you have pests or termites, you certainly don't want to deal with those. You can contact Terminix, TERMINIX.com, and they will take care of your business, your home, any sort of issues that you may have, as they did ours as well. We, Taylor, are about to check in with Amanda, and today we have 2 Wednesday tickets to give away and a $25 gift card to Bonefish. So as we await her, what caller number do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do caller number 3.
Caller number 3, 641-1010, 904-641-1010. We will give those, like I said, 2 Wednesday tickets as well as $25 to Bonefish. All right, Amanda's tied up, so we will get it to other things in sports. I mentioned earlier, no JU FSU baseball tonight, canceled due to weather. When it comes to girls high school soccer, St. John's Country Day takes on South Florida Heat in the state semis tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That's the 1A tournament in DeLand. And then Episcopal takes on Ransom Everglades. I had never heard of that high school before. Ransom Everglades. That game comes up Thursday at 7 p.m. That's the 2A state semifinals. And then when it comes to the boys soccer side of things, in 1A, St. Joseph takes on Canterbury in the state semis tomorrow at 10 a.m. And that one is also in DeLand. So I love the high school playoffs because I think I've told you we made it as far as regional finals. We never made it to a state semifinal, obviously, or a state championship game. When I was at Bishop Kenny, the volleyball team made it to the state semifinals, and then the next year won the state championship.
Oh, nice.
So I was always like, man, maybe I should have played volleyball. But yeah, I just think it's super cool for these high school athletes to have these experiences, because not all of them are obviously going to go on to play in college. And so this may be the last time that they play, an organized sport or varsity sport.
Yeah, I think it's good for people in general to have that experience, because it helps you with so many things when you play a team sport, especially when you are kind of relying on other people to do their job so you can do their job. And I played sports up until like my sophomore year, and then I got injured, just never ended up playing again. But that was a big part of why I love sports the way I do, because I did have my involvement in it, and I grew up through middle school and the beginning of high school playing it. And because of that, you become friends with a lot of the other athletes that play different sports. So you're going to basketball games and football games and baseball games, and it adds a whole other element to your high school world when you get to be around that. And like I said, I think it's just good for kids in general to just learn so many different aspects of being a teammate.
Absolutely. And the exercise, by the way, is really good too. I always tell people, so I was playing soccer and also swimming competitively when I was 11, and in swimming, they had just started during practices to have conditioning. Well, I was like, I don't like this running stuff. This is not for me. So my really brilliant 11-year-old mind decided, well, I'll quit swimming and turn my attention to soccer. Well,
where you just only run.
Right. Well, all you do is run. And we just hadn't started conditioning yet in soccer. And then like a couple weeks later, we started conditioning. And it was like, dang it, this conditioning was going to happen no matter what sport I was in. I don't know what I was thinking. But
I wanted to share something coming out of the combine, too. I know we'll get all sorts of little tidbits. We just heard the one about Travis Kelce. Does seem like he's planning to play again this season. But the Ravens head coach John Harbaugh said that the team is evaluating kickers, though they plan to do so even before the Justin Tucker accusation. So we've talked about that a little bit on here, but that is something to where, I mean, Justin Tucker was the man for a long time when it came to being able to, he would walk up, it was 58, didn't even hesitate, like you never even questioned if he was going to be able to make it. And unfortunate circumstances like this and accusations that the Ravens obviously have to address those anyways, but it does seem like they were kind of already maybe planning to move a different way anyways.
Which is probably a smart thing to do for sure. Since we were going to chat players, want to let everyone know that general parking has reached capacity for Friday, March 14th and Saturday, March 15th. Now you can still get a parking pass via the resale sites, but as far as the general parking from the players directly, it's already sold out for Friday, already sold out for Saturday. So if you don't have parking and you want to go on one of those days, make sure that you have rideshare or find, get your bicycle out and ride your bike there. Last year, Saturday, general admission tickets also sold out. So if you want to go one of those busier days,
definitely jump on it because every year.
Definitely get your tickets. And reminder that Tuesday is military appreciation, and certainly the concert that goes with it with Jordan Davis is always incredible. That kicks off around 5:30. As far as the concert's concerned, the festivities start a little earlier than that. And then Wednesday's a great day. I always tell people before I worked in media, sports media, I love to go on Wednesdays because it's so casual. You can, pretty much see any golfer that you want to up close and personal without the stress because it's still a practice round. And it's a lighter crowd day too. So certainly fewer lines or shorter lines for everything, concessions, bathrooms, and the like. And then, of course, the official rounds start on Thursday. You've got the amazing course itself, the Players' Championship. If you've never been to the stadium course, oh my goodness. It's just fun to walk around because it's so gorgeous. I've never had the opportunity, or should I say I think I've heard now both James Gladstone and Liam Cohen both say op, not opportunity. So clearly opportunity is for old people to say. I've never had the op to go to Augusta and go to the Masters. Yeah. I've obviously heard great things about that golf course, but my goodness, the Players is one of the most beautiful. And if you want to get, I would say, to where there's fewer crowds as well, go to holes 1 through 9. Go to the front 9. Certainly you're going to have a lot more attention circumventing or circulating around 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah, and one of the things I saw they're doing this year, we already talked about the influencer tournament that they're doing, and I think that's on Tuesday too, right?
The Creator Classic.
The Creator Classic.
It's on Tuesday.
But they're also doing, it's with COSM, C-O-S-M, and the PGA Tour announced a collaboration with players, and I'm sure we'll talk about this with Miranda when we do have her on, but with the Players Championship, where venues in LA and Dallas are going to be able, it's like an immersive experience for the 16th, 17th, and 18th hole, so they're having some sort of like virtual reality camera set up so people in LA and Dallas can feel like they're standing like on 17 watching.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. But around here, you may as well just go. So visit theplayers.com, get your tickets, get your parking, and all that good stuff. We've got one segment to go on Helmets and Heels on an epic Cool Heating and Air Tuesday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
There are 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and Jags football.
To the 5, into the end zone, touchdown!
Jaguar football lives here. 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for 10, the pork and rib combo for 12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since 68.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Lauren Brooks here. at Hodges Mazda, they are proud of their solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional, non-commissioned sales team puts your best interest first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online at HodgesMazda.com or stop in today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Hey Jacksonville, Lauren here from Helmets and Heels. When it's time for new tires, look no further than Big Chief Tire. Their experts will help you quickly find the right fit, ensuring a safe and comfortable ride. With quality options, fair prices, and quick installation, you'll be back on the road in no time. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule your appointment and roll into 2025 with even greater confidence guaranteed. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
This is Dr. George Bari inviting you to look online at BariOrthopedics.com for the latest in medical advancements when it comes to getting you back to full joint health. After studying under Dr. James Andrews, I know proper diagnosis is the first key to treatment, and educating the patient is the fastest path to recovery. Whether it's chronic back pain, nagging arthritis, or necessary joint replacement, we're here to serve you in the best possible way. We are Bari Orthopedics and online at BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
If you're tired of weekend projects turning into weekend disasters, you're not alone. Building a fence isn't as easy as it looks. And let's face it, your neighbor still hasn't fixed his lopsided masterpiece. But Superior Fence and Rail makes it easy. Highly trained professionals, top quality materials, and a fence you'll love for years to come. Skip the stress and call the pros today.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week, Amelia Tucker, senior varsity track and field and soccer player at Wilson High. Amelia is involved with student government and is a member of the National Honor Society. Congratulations, Amelia.
Thinning or balding hair? Introducing scalp micropigmentation now at IHRS. SMP is a procedure for men and women, looks like your own growing hair, and corrects thinning areas. SMP is perfect for men and women who shave their head and want a full head of hair look. Call IHRS now, 904-777-IHRS, 904-777-4477, or visit hairforme.com today.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a beautiful walk-in closet that's already so incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. And take advantage of extended savings this month. Get 40% off and another 15% off with 18-month special financing.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Welcome back to Indianapolis, where day one of our scouting combine coverage officially underway. Our thanks to everyone, not only those of you for listening to Liam Cohen, James Gladstone at the podium, the local media scrums, which will also be made available here momentarily on our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, hello YouTube. I am uploading those with our team back at 1010XL headquarters right now. We also will have those one-on-ones available in case you missed it. James Gladstone one-on-one, Liam Cohen one-on-one live with Frank Frangie. Those occurred earlier in the 12 o'clock hour. So if you can't wait another, 45 minutes or so to watch those on demand with the fancy DSLR cameras, you can always scrub back through this live stream here on Helmets and Heels and listen back to those two tremendous interviews that Frank did. Hayes Carline, boots on the ground here as well. He has been catching up with all of the other head coaches and GMs that are here in Indianapolis, and those clips also available on our 1010XL social channels. Have I covered everything, Lauren and Taylor? Is there anything I missed?
I think you got everything as far as that's concerned. What would you say, what's your one biggest takeaway today from James Gladstone and today from Liam Cohen?
I thought you were going to say my biggest takeaway personally. My biggest takeaway personally is, number one, very glad I got a good night's sleep last night. Number two, I don't know how I ever thought about flying to the combine the morning of these coaching press conferences like we did last year, because yikes, I don't know how I did that. Anyways, my biggest takeaways. I think that James Gladstone had more zingers than a lot of people anticipated, myself included. I've seen plenty of you reacting online to the line about the defense is going to be more ferocious than previous, and Jaguar fans are going to be looking towards that. Unsolicited, I'll be honest with you guys, I was texting Kevin and I was saying, like, all right, as a Jaguars fan, what do you want to hear? And he was like, I do want to hear about the interior of the offensive line. And within seconds of him texting me that, someone else at the podium asked the question, and he started talking about the dish that sets the table and the importance of the quarterback having an area with which to step into and why the interior of the offensive line is so vital. And so I think that James Gladstone hit it out of the park. I will tell you that while he was seated here at this table that I'm at right now with Frank Frangie, more than one media member came up behind me, both friend and people I didn't know, and they said, this is the GM? Like, this is the guy? And I was like, yeah. Like, well, what about it? And so, yes, I do think that age question is going to continue, as much as James Gladstone and Liam Cohen were, what does Liam say? He got his PhD from the Rams. They matriculated through a system where age is just a number, but I think that around the rest of the league, it is still jarring for some, and that's all fine and good. As far as my takeaways from Liam, really excited for you guys to get to listen to the local scrum. I asked him about a couple different hires that he made, both the strength and conditioning coach, the entire staff on the strength and conditioning side, as well as Edgar Bennett, the veteran former offensive assistant coach, who will be the running backs coach as he comes, wide receivers coach, excuse me. Again, lots going on here. Wide receivers coach in Jacksonville. Of course, he is from Jacksonville, played at Florida State, got a chance to meet him yesterday, and you will greatly appreciate the energy and the passion that Liam speaks about that match being created, how highly people around the league spoke of EB. And in the same vein, the quote that I will take away from Liam Cohen, and I tweeted it out from his availabilities here today, we didn't hire a coach who didn't have another opportunity. And I think that also needs to be paired in mind as so many people want to critique the youth movement in Duval County.
The quote you're referring to, me, as far as the interior of the offensive line, this is from, of course, General Manager James Gladstone. Quote, addressing the interior of the OL, setting the dish for the QB can be really helpful for their success. So obviously the interior of the offensive line, and a lot of people think, well, that's how you run the football well, and that's true. But it's also how your quarterback is protected from that interior pass rush. And so that's certainly something to keep an eye on as far as Brandon Sheriff being a free agent.
Yes, absolutely. And certainly an area that, again, I have not dove nearly as deep into this draft class as we will be over the next, few weeks and months. I do think that that is also a position that I heard Daniel Jeremiah say on Move the Sticks on my flight here, that it is a position that you can also maybe wait until round 3, round 4, day 3, and you can still find capable starters along that interior of the offensive line.
Mia, I know today is coaches GM days, but as we kind of move on through the week and we start talking about players and the drills they're doing, are there any players that people are kind of talking about more than what we've talked about on our show?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I haven't had any conversations yet about prospects with anyone, if I'm being completely honest. I think what's interesting about the Combine is that this early, late Monday, all day Tuesday, Wednesday, outside of maybe Wednesday afternoon, it's really a lot more of the NFL markets. It's reporters who cover the teams. It's much more about storylines like you saw come out of Washington this morning that Jonathan Allen has been approved to seek a trade, right? It's much more about the actual current rosters as about the players. And I know that's here because we are here for these 300 plus individuals to go through measurements, to go through different drills, and to be evaluated by the 32 clubs. But at this point in time, much of the conversation is surrounding the league, the teams, those players already there. Hopefully tomorrow, especially because EJ Snyder, our friend from Bootleg Football, is going to join us in the 12 o'clock hour. I already talked to him, and he's going to come prepared with us with a 6-deep, with a 6-pack, if you may, from each position. So we're going to get a draft primer from him. But, yeah, I mean, if anything, I talked to a couple of my friends in the Pittsburgh media, and, they had a nice little laugh about the quarterback situation there. But, again, that's not even specific to a prospect, right? I think that's what's really interesting about the Combine is these first 3 days, it is about the NFL media contingent. And then slowly but surely you hear and see much more of the college reporters who covered these prospects during their collegiate career. You see a lot more agents and personnel teams for these individual players. That's who starts moving in here midway through the week.
It is because I know Brett and EJ with Bootleg Football just did a full Mason Graham breakdown recently too, and I was watching some of that. I can't wait to hear you talk with him a little bit about Mason Graham because they had some interesting takes, honestly. Like maybe they think he'll be a really good player, but they were not as high on Mason Graham as it felt like some of the people around the league have been.
Yeah, in the same vein, Daniel Jeremiah said, too, on Mason Graham that he was extremely high on him after watching the tape. And then he saw him in person back in November or October and was almost panicked because of how small he looked. Mm-hmm. And then he went up in the booth and he watched the game and he went, oh, no, he's the same guy. Yeah, but he was like, never mind, that he is that guy. And so that's a great point you just made, Taylor, because here's the thing. With all that said, what did both James Gladstone and Liam Cohen say over the last 2 days of availability? That they will be judging not based off the tape. Roll in the tape. And I think that you guys, when you listen to the availability with local reporters from Jacksonville, James Gladstone specifically said, I will watch the game tape. And that is something that Leon Searcy said to us in the handoff yesterday, that sometimes for some prospects, you need to stop fixating on what their measurables are. You have to stop fixating on what they look like when they get off the bus, perhaps, and turn on the tape. And what do they look like when they have pads on and they are playing in a football game?
For sure. Mia, we haven't gotten to it, but tonight Florida takes on Georgia in men's basketball. As we all know, Todd Golden, the successor of Mike White, after Mike White decided to take his talents to Athens. Mike White has not yet beat Florida at the helm of the Georgia program, and I would honestly expect the same kind of result tonight.
Yeah, Georgia unfortunately has faded after a pretty nice start to the non-con. I think that's something that unfortunately is going to just forever be linked to Mike White because I think it happened with his times at Florida. Although, Lauren, you would argue too, his Florida teams many times had to really turn things around when the calendar flipped to February in SEC play in order to make the NCAA tournament. But certainly during his time in Athens, it's been the strength of his non-conference schedule that perhaps has given many of us, myself included, an inflated view of what the Dogs can do. Asa Newell is still going to make the all-SEC freshman team in my estimation. He's a human highlight. He'll be maybe not a lottery pick, but certainly a first-round pick in the NBA draft this upcoming summer. And I think that the size for Georgia is going to be perhaps the biggest mismatch with the Gators. But I'm curious your thoughts. And also shout out Thomas Haug, who is in the new LaFarve commercial too. So we're also getting that NIL money going in Florida. So the Gators clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, well deserved for him. I'm very intrigued to see if Alex Condon does play tonight, returning from the ankle injury. And if he does, what do the minutes look like for him? What do the minutes look like for Micah Handlogton? Thomas Haug, in my opinion, has earned a starting spot on this roster, and I would expect the other two to come off the bench. Obviously, Ruben Chinyelu just coming off of those 19 points, 13 rebounds. He certainly has also been a great starter all season as far as bigs for Todd Golden. I expect Florida to win by double digits because even when Florida doesn't play well, Florida wins by double digits. That's just what this basketball team can do. Even when LSU had the 24-2 run, Florida was able to turn it around. And just offensively, Florida is so efficient. Fast break points on the boards. And Mike White's teams, as we all know, they're much more methodical, slow, plodding, all those things.
And now letting him get healthy.
Yeah.
At just the right moment.
Yeah, that's certainly good for Florida. All right, Mia, so tomorrow, EJ Snyder of Bootleg Football will join you in the noon hour. Also, Mike Silver of The Athletic will join you at 12:30. And then we are not sure exactly what time Jaguars Executive Vice President of Football Operations, a.k.a. Jaguars supporter /
buffer.
The
buffer.
The supporter / buffer, as Gene Fournette dubbed Tony Baselli, will join Frank.
We did joke. We think we're going to start a GoFundMe, or at the very least put together a couple bucks from the local media contingent of Jacksonville. We think we need to get Tony a nameplate that refers to him as such, as the buffer, so that he can use that in his offices at the Miller Electric Center.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. By the way, he can certainly afford it on his own if the local media that makes obviously much less. But yeah, all right, good stuff from up there in Indianapolis, and we will have a lot more for everybody tomorrow.
Yes, and again, my apologies. Again, we're in a place where there is, I couldn't even tell you how many media groups and teams represented, and so our Wi-Fi is not ideal right now, but we are trying to get you guys as quickly as we can those two local media interviews, as well as the one-on-ones with Frank Frangie, up on the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channels as soon as possible.
All right, sounds good. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, Mia. And right now we will turn things over to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
Joe Cowart joins us right now. Joe, as far as James Gladstone, Liam Cohen both met with reporters at the podium today, reporters certainly from all across the NFL, and then also sat down with Frank Frangie, and we got to have them live on the show. What are your thoughts as far as the collection that you've heard from them the last 2 days?
I was not trying to drive and tweet at the same time, so I just stopped. But the one thing that kind of struck me just a little bit, and two things struck me. When Liam said all these guys that we hired had another job or another opportunity in the NFL. And
except Liam.
Yeah.
Except but he did. He had the OC job. Yeah.
And it's so funny because you can kind of couch this any way you want.
Sure.
No one else was looking for Liam to be their head coach, but he was in demand between two cities. And then these other guys might not have taken, well, they very likely wouldn't have taken the same level of job. So I dig what he's saying, and it makes sense. And he's trying to obviously say, hey, they're young, but they're also still in demand. So at least it kind of fired me up a little bit because we don't know whether they're going to be successful. Nobody does. But you hope like heck that they will. And then the other part of it is just the simple fact that when James is sitting with Frank and talking, and when Liam is sitting with Frank and talking, they both are mentioning lines of scrimmage.
Yeah.
My gosh, man.
I know.
It is the most important thing, and it's something that obviously we'll keep talking about. We'll get into today with Coach Campo hanging out with us. But no matter what you do, when you leave the combine, you better have a good idea of what the next group of talented big men look like.
It feels like they're sending us right on that Mason Graham train for them only to pull the rug out from under
like,
us
never mind, gotcha.
and take a receiver or corner.
Yeah, and Joe, one of the comments that stuck out to me from Liam Cohen when he talked to Frank Frangie was he was saying, we've got to stop losing. You're going to get beat in this league. It's not the standard, but we've got to stop losing these games ourselves. And that one stuck out to me big time because how many times this last year was the win was in your hands and something happened to where you lost by another one score game at some point.
They were 3-10 in one-score games.
Yeah.
So that's just, honestly, it's unacceptable. The NFL, whenever you watch enough football, which both of you do, there are a lot of one-score games in the National Football League. This is not a football or sport of blowouts. They're all very, very close. That's why 3, 4, and 7 are all very popular scores. But look at how many Kansas City won and look at how many Jacksonville lost. And they were in close games against Houston both times they played. That was the eventual champion in the AFC South. So, yeah, you got to figure out how to win these games, period.
What's coming up?
Definitely digging down on the combine. So we're going to just basically our XLP Big Three in order, and I know where Matt Hayes is going, but in order, the position groups that they should be studying first and foremost once these guys start rolling in. So we'll definitely do that and then get coaches' take as far as now that the full coaching staff has been put together. So we'll talk a lot Jaguar ball.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Joe.
All right, thank you.
And, of course, coming up on the Frangie Show, more from the Combine following the Boys of XL Primetime. For Mia O'Brien up in Indianapolis, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow. Some in Jacksonville, some up in Indy, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next.